I promised, we're going to cover conditions. We're going to cover if statements, the else statement, and the if else statement. So one ways of incorporating logic into our applications is obviously using something called an if statement, or some sort of logic to be implemented. It can be done with if statements, else statements, and else if statements. So to show to you one really sort of simple example of this is, if you remember from our previous video, we're going to actually let's create some sort of application where we're going to take some sort of user input and make sure that if he doesn't type in anything, or nothing to be exact, then it's going to write out a message instead of erroring out. So to do that, we're going to have to define a variable, or a variable. So our variable is going to be an integer, because we want full numbers. And let's call it num to make it simple again. And I just use my keyboard switch, there we go. And we're going to do cout, and we're going to do the arrows that point to the left side, and we're going to ask the user to type a number. So type in a number. And the reason why I didn't put the end of the end line thing, is I want the cursor to be right behind the statement to make it look a bit nicer. Next we're going to do cin, because it's something that is used for input, and we're going to forward the input inside of our number, and that's our user input pretty much done. So the base of our program is pretty much done. So what else is there to do? We could do a if statement, and what we could do is we have to put in these brackets and then our condition. So to define our if statement properly, we can put these brackets this way as I have, or you can put the brackets below it, but one method that looks far cleaner is just to put the brackets like this. And inside of this we're going to check if a number is, for example, bigger. Actually, one really neat example, let me add another number here. So let's add a num1, for example, and we're going to pretty much copy all of this, and we're going to change just the variable here to num1, so we can have two numbers, and we're just going to do some comparisons. So let's say we want to write out a message if num, so our first number is bigger than our second number. To check that is really simple. We just type in num, and then the greater than num1. And if it's greater than num1, then we're going to write it out with the cout thing, which is right here. And we're going to do actually the end line thing, so it doesn't do so it doesn't screw up our interface. And what we're going to do is we're going to write out that what do we want to write out? To make this as simple as possible, we're going to just type out that the first number is bigger than the second number. This is like a really extremely simple form of logic. Now this would work, but it would only work if the first number was bigger than the second one. I can actually demonstrate this, so let's just run this. It takes a little while to compile, obviously. And if we decide to run this, it will ask us to write a number, so let's do, I don't know, 10 and 5. As you can see, it writes out that the first number is bigger, because that's true. We just typed in that, let me just resize this real quick because it's not gonna be that difficult. So we can see that our first number is indeed bigger than our second one, so it wrote out the message. But what if I decide to put in 5 here and 10 here? It's not gonna do anything because it doesn't have another condition built into it. For this, we can use the else function if we just want to check for these. And to properly indent our else function, it's just like that. And we can pretty much take this entire section and we're just gonna change these around. So we're going to do that the second number. So the first, oh crap, okay, hold on. There we go. So the second number is bigger than the first number. And what you will notice that as soon as I decide to compile this and run it, and I type in 5 and 10, it will write out indeed that it's that. But what if the numbers were the exact same, so 5 and 5? It will still write out the second number is bigger than the first, but that's not true. 5 and 5 is equal to each other. So to do that, we can incorporate something that's called a else if. A else if is an extension of if, so it adds another condition basically. So to make this work, I'm going to create an else if function. So we're going to do else if, put in our brackets, then our squiggly brackets, and in our else if function, I'm just gonna copy this and reverse the arrow. And I'm just gonna copy all of this, yoink, and I'm going to change that the numbers are equal, or the numbers are the same. The numbers are the same. Now what you see here is if the first number is bigger than the second one, it will write out that the first number is bigger than the second number. If it's the other way around, that the first number is smaller than the second number, it will write out that the second number is bigger than the first number. However, if none of these are true, so both of our numbers are equal, it will write out that the numbers are the same. So to show you that it in fact does work, is we're going to go over here, we're going to recompile our code using the same statement. You cannot even see it, so we pretty much, these are the tests I did before. This was when I had just the first function. I didn't implement the else statement. Here I implemented the else statement, and as soon as I wrote the same numbers with just the if and the else statement, then it wrote out nothing. It actually wrote out that the second number is bigger than the first, which isn't true. Both are the same. So after recompiling it with the changes in place, which you can see right over here, I hope you can see them properly. Yes, you can. So pretty much the only thing left here to show you guys is that it in fact does work. So I just compile our code again, and I'm just gonna run it. So watch what happens if I type in 10 and 5. Basically the first number is bigger than the second one, so that works. Next, let's do it the other way around, 5 and 10. Obviously the second number is bigger than the first number, so that works as well. However, what if I decide to type in 5 and 5? Oh, what happened? The numbers are the same, so pretty much our program works. We don't have to add anything else in here. It will just check if the first number is bigger than the second, write out this, which was the case here. If the first number is smaller than the second one, obviously the second one is bigger, so that's why it said the sentence over here, which you cannot see again because of my fat face. And then, if none of these are true, it's going to go over here and write out that both of the numbers are the same, which in our case happened here. And that's an introduction into a very simple logic. There are also shorter methods of this, but if-else statements are the best way of incorporating some sort of logic into it. I originally planned on covering switches in this one, but essentially what a switch is and what you need to know is it kind of works like a if statement, but it's a bit more complicated than that. So I'm gonna leave switches for another video. It kind of works like a if-else statement, or else-if statement if you will, but it is a bit more complicated than that. Actually, I could show you that, but I don't want to incorporate too many things into one video, you know? So, in the next one we're going to discuss switches, I think. Yes. Yes, in the next one we're going to discuss switches, and then we're going to discuss loops. Because conditions are cool and all, but giving you guys too much information at once isn't healthy at all. And I don't want to oversaturate your brain with stuff that you're not even gonna use as of now. But this is a really simple method of incorporating logic into our application, which obviously works. So yeah, with this done, I hope that you guys are doing well, and I will see you guys in the next one where we'll be discussing switches.